Hi everyone, it's Leona with Leona's Designs. I'm here with week 50 of the Slow Stitch with Kathryn. And this week's project is stitching text. And Kathryn did a project where she stitched a haiku that she wrote in a spiral shape. And it looked really cool. And I will probably try doing that at some point, but she said, as always, we can do us. So I decided I just wanted to stitch this favorite phrase that my dad used to always say when I was young. He would say, "Take time to stop and smell the roses." Well, I changed it a little bit and I said, "Take time to stop and smell the flowers," because we might not have roses. So we can always take time to smell the flowers. There's always some type of flowers around, I think. So I'm just going to stitch mine in straight lines. I drew it all on paper. I have a piece of muslin backed with cotton that I basted together, and I'm going to do my best to stitch the text that I've printed out here with some black embroidery floss. And then after I get that done, I'm going to try to make some kind of fabric flowers as a border here. I'm hoping to do 3 different kinds of fabric flowers and maybe some leaves and like a vine. That's my plan anyway. I kind of drew it out on this paper to see how it would look. So this piece will fit in my journal. And I'm going to get started now with this black embroidery floss. I believe it's probably, this is cotton pearl. So it should be fairly easy to stitch through these 2 layers. And I'm just going to start just doing plain running stitches on these text. And I've printed them out with enough space in between, I hope. And then, like Kathryn did, she made a little X to separate the words to make it easier to read. So I'm going to start here at the top of this T and try to keep my stitching on this pencil mark that I've made. And I'm just going to use a running stitch, maybe sometimes a back stitch. I can't remember what Kathryn used. I think it was just plain running stitch, but some people use chain stitch. Let's see, I think I'll go, should I go over the top of that one? Right over the top. Now, I could have done 2 smaller stitches, and it probably would have looked better to make it lay down better. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm not in camera. Let me get this out a little bit so that I don't get out of frame. But it is what it is, so I'm just gonna now come up in this A, at the bottom leg of this A, and I think I will take 2 stitches instead of taking 1 long stitch. So I'll take 1 running stitch, and up at the top here I'm going to take a back stitch right back down to there. think that will look better. And then I'm going to come up here at the top of the other side and go over and in, and then I'll do a back stitch, to the top, and then another back stitch coming out here at the bottom. Oop. And up, right where I went in there, and then one in the middle. And that makes my A. So I've got the, excuse me, the TA. I'm not really happy with how this turned out. I should have took 2 stitches instead of the 1 because it doesn't lay down good. But it'll have to stay that way. But anyway, I'm going to keep doing these, all these letters this way. And hopefully it will turn out well. I'm just going to take shorter stitches instead of long. So I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm hoping your Christmas season isn't too busy yet. Mine's been a little busy, but it's been fun. I went with my grandkids to see this big, they call it the Pittock Mansion in Portland. It was built in, I think it was 1914. Big, beautiful mansion overlooking the Willamette River. It was built by a man who built it for his wife. And he was the owner of the local newspaper in Portland, which still is going, and it's a big newspaper now. But he was the one that started it in the 1900s. And him and his wife lived in this mansion, just big, gorgeous mansion. And they had, I believe it was 6 children. So it's now a historical site, and it's decorated all beautifully for Christmas. So my grandkids and I had a great time. My little great-granddaughter came too. So we had fun. And it was a beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. It wasn't raining. The sun was shining. It was cold though. It's always cold when it doesn't rain. And in the winter. And we had lunch at Pizza Smizza, which, if you haven't heard of that, it's a pizza chain that has different types of slices of pizza that you can choose from. And it's really good. And of course, then we had to have dessert at Dairy Queen. Because my great-granddaughter loves ice cream, as do I. So that was a Christmas treat for me, and this next Saturday I'm planning to go back with my other granddaughter and her husband. Just gonna make this top of this K a little bit bigger. There. And I will make this X to separate the words. Kathryn did this, and I thought it was a good idea. Just a little separator so you can read the words a little easier. So there is my word take, and I'm going to continue doing this all the way across. And when I get done with all these stitching of this text, I will be back to show you how I'm planning to put the flowers on here. Okay, I've got them all stitched. I think it looks pretty good. There are a few of them that are a little wonky, but it's pretty overall. Looks good. So now I'm deciding what kind of flowers I want to do. I've got this orange circle that I'm going to make into a yo-yo for a flower. And I cut these little petals out of felt. I want to stitch them down to make a little yellow flower. And I might, if I have room, make a little red rose somewhere on here. But right now I'm going to make this Suffolk puff or yo-yo, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to do that with some orange embroidery floss. Just going to gather it all around the edge. I'm going to leave the edge raw. I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch and just go around with a running stitch. And we'll gather it and see what we get. This is I think it's a 3-inch circle. So usually give a tail there so I can have something to gather. Usually I think with the size of the circle, it ends up being about half that size of the little puff. So I'm hoping to get about a 1.5 or 1 inch gathered circle to make this little flower. Just taking some pretty big running stitches. And we'll see what we get. Right back to the start now. So I'm going to pull this together. And to keep my thumb in there till it gets gathered. And we'll see what we got. And just push it down. Flatten it out. Just kind of work with it till it forms into a little gathered circle, like a little puff. You could put a little piece of cotton in there if you wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it like this. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it on this side or this side. But right now I'm going to stitch it shut. Right here at the back with a couple of stitches. Just through these gathers. Doesn't have to be too secure because I'm going to stitch it down to the piece of cloth. Okay. So now I need to decide if I want to stitch it down this way and put a button or the other way. I'm going to get a button and decide which way looks better. Okay, I got this little yellow button, and I think it looks best on this gathered side for a flower. So I'm going to sew that right in the middle, and then I'll stitch it to the page, or I'll stitch it to the piece. I think right there should look good. And we'll try to come in. Just I'm going to come in under here. It's kind of tough to get in there. Okay, right through to the back. Keep my fingers out of the way. Ooh. It's a little tough to get through all them layers. Okay, made it. Hopefully come in through the back. Right there. Through the button. A little more difficult than I anticipated. It should not be, but it is. Okay. Right through there. Now we'll just go to the back. Trying to keep it centered. I think that'll be okay. See if I can do it a couple more times. Usually once you get it through once, it goes in easier the second time. I don't know why that is, but it's usually what happens. Okay. I'll leave that thread there. I think it looks good. All right, so where should I put it? Up here? I think I'll put it up here, and I'll have a long stem going down. I think that would look cute. So I'm going to come up I was gonna stitch a border though. And I wanted to try to make this flower. There's 5 petals. Keeps catching on my skin. My skin is dry on my hands. Could put these big flowers down here and then put my small roses down the side. But I kind of like the idea of it up there. It's a long stem. So I'm going to do that. Got to go into the back. Out to the front, under the button. Back in. Oops. Just trying to stitch a few stitches to hold it to the page. Going through so many layers is not easy. But I think that's enough to hold it. And I wasn't going to, but I think I'll make a stem with yarn. I'm going to couch some yarn down. So I'm going to get some green yarn and I'll be right back. Okay, so I found some of this green Chanel yarn and I just kind of couched it down under that flower, and now I'm just going to continue couching it all the way down the stem, and we'll probably add a couple of leaves to it. Oops. I think that will look good. I just couch it down, add a leaf here and a leaf there maybe, and then I'll figure out what I want to do here at the bottom. I'm just going to continue couching all the way down. Okay, so I got it all couched down, and I snipped a couple of little leaf shapes out of some of my scraps, and I'm going to stitch those down. I think I'll put a little dab of glue just to hold them down. And just do some straight stitches in them. My glue's running out. Just enough to hold them down so I can stitch them. Just take a few little straight stitches around the edge, probably about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. I think I'll whip stitch them on. Probably look better as a leaf. Just a few little whip stitches along the edge to hold them on. And maybe some straight stitches down the middle. Just to give it a leaf look. So it wasn't my original plan, but I think it's working out okay. Still haven't figured out what I want to do at the bottom. Could just place a bunch of little stitched flowers and grass, maybe. I'm not sure, but once I get this flower done, I'll give it some more thought. So I'm just going to continue doing that on this leaf and this leaf, and I'll be back. Well, I found these little flowers on a piece of material I had, and I cut them out. I fussy cut them out, and I'm hoping they're going to work to stitch down. I glued them down, and I'm just planning to go around and do a few stitches in the petals, and then I'm going to make grass with this green and stems. So I think first I will start stitching the little flowers. Got some orange thread left, and I'll start over here. And what I'm going to do is just take one little stitch in each petal. I think I'll start in the middle. And just go up like this. And hopefully this is going to look okay. Just to stitch them down. I might do a French knot in the middle with yellow. We'll see. And I think since this is going in my journal, I don't have to worry about, them being real secure as if I was adding them to a t-shirt or something. But I think that works good. Maybe I'll just do a French knot in the middle in orange. See how that works out. I love doing French knots with this wool mat because it holds the needle and it gives me a good French knot. I think that's going to look good. So I'm going to continue doing the rest of the flowers that way, and I'll be back when I start the grass. Okay, I'm back, and I'm going to do the stems on these little flowers. I got them all stitched down. I'm just going to do probably a few back stitches down, and then I'll do grass. Not sure if I'll do any leaves. I might. Just stitch a few leaves. But for right now, I'm just planning to do stems. Just enough to make it look like they're on stems going into the grass. I think the back stitches look nice. So there's cute. Cute. I think I might do a leaf. Whoop. I don't know where that came from. So I didn't pull that far enough. Oh well, just gonna leave it. I think I'll just do maybe a leaf right here. Coming out. Just a few stitches to make it look like a leaf. Like that. I think that looks good. So I'm going to continue doing stems on all of these and a few stitches at the bottom. I think I'll just right now go down there and do a few grass stitches since I'm here. Just like a few different straight stitches, slanted a little bit here and there. Different sizes. Oops, not pulling it too tight. Trying to stay in frame here. So that's what I'm just going to continue doing. Oops. Just going in and out, making little stitches. To resemble grass. Oops, and the thread came out of my needle. So good time to pause, and I will be back after I go all the way across with stems and grass. Okay, I'm calling it done. I stitched all the grass, the little stems and the leaves. I went back and did French knots in the center of the orange flowers. I think just makes them stand out and look better. Kind of matches the big one there. And I'm happy with how it turned out. It was a lot of fun. My stitching's a little wonky, but that's okay. It was fun to do, and that's the main point, right? It's supposed to be fun. So I'm going to put this in my journal. Excuse me. And I hope I inspired you to maybe try something like this. Maybe try stitching some letters, a little quote, or just a word. And then build a little image around it if you want to. And I do hope to see you next time for the next video. There's only a couple more left for this year of the Slow Stitch with Kathryn. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.